brief set of updates today, so we won't be long. First thing, we are going to start moving to a Monday and Thursday COVID briefing as we move forward. You know, the reason for that is outside of our daily case count data, which we'll share, a lot of what we're doing right now is just preparing and waiting for surge numbers to continue to come in. So we'll still be doing a briefing. It'll be twice a week, Monday and Thursday, along with the police briefing. If we have something that warrants a briefing outside of that, we'll certainly do that. I'm going to share with you some of the data, updated data from over the weekend. As of today, Sioux Falls sits at about 746 cases per capita per 100,000 residents in the country. We always like to highlight, again, without Smithfield cases, we'd be at about 436, and without Smithfield, as well as the cases of impact and spread within Smithfield, we're at about 360 cases per resident. This is where we stand after this weekend's numbers. Kind of the chart that we're watching most closely is this one here, which is our hospitalization rate numbers as well as our active case numbers. So our active cases kind of ticked up again over the weekend. As we noted last week, we had a couple lower days. We had some days, one day over this weekend that was quite high again. It was our biggest day in about a week. So we ticked up again to 929 cases, active cases that we have within our MSA right now. So that's where we sit as of today, Monday, the 27th. So a couple other important updates. We will be having discussions and conversations with the state and with Smithfield this week. Had a call with them on Friday with a member of their leadership team on Friday. They talked about potentially in the middle of this week having a conversation with a plan and a strategy for reopen. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that. And working with the state on that. We also, based on the numbers that we just show you, continue to look at the ordinances that we have on the books and what makes sense logically for those as we move forward. So we're going to let the data continue to drive those decisions for us, whether that be the no lingering ordinance we have on the books and some other things that aren't in ordinance, but what are we going to do with our parks, with opening some of the amenities of our parks, some of our city buildings. We're looking at strategies with that as it relates to the data and the numbers. I want to just remind specifically businesses, you have any questions about COVID, any questions for your business, your organization, please send them to COVID-19 questions at siouxfalls.org. It's COVID-19 questions at siouxfalls.org. That is by far the best way to get an answer and get it quickly for any questions that you may have. Last thing I'll say, it's nice weather. It's a nice week ahead. Please get out, exercise, log some miles, and enjoy nature. So one other thing I had to go through today, I asked Chief Matt Burns to be here. Chief Burns thinks he's here to talk about COVID, but actually Chief Burns is someone who I have a lot of respect for and someone who I've worked with now for 2 years and really appreciate the work that the chief does. And so I nominated Matt for his work for standing up a narcotics crimes unit, which has had some tremendous results this past year, has led record seizures. Matt has done a tireless work advancing our new public safety training center. He's made a lot of changes to the culture of the Sioux Falls Police Department that has allowed us to recruit and retain employees in an increasingly challenged environment. And most importantly, just tremendous leadership and character. And so I nominated the chief for the Chief John Wayman Senior Service Award from the South Dakota Police Chiefs Association. Normally they would have met last week at a conference and he would have presented that award. Obviously the conference was canceled. And so it is my honor to present our outstanding chief, Matt Burns, with this award. So that's how I suckered you in here to be here. So please give Matt a round of applause if you would. And yeah, thanks. There's one person who can clap. There's not many people in here. So Chief, my pleasure. If you do have questions for the chief about COVID, you can ask them. That's why he thinks he's here. But more than anything, I just wanted to use this platform to recognize him since he couldn't get recognized in front of his peers at the award. But you need to know, or at the a banquet, you need to know that you have an incredible Sioux Falls Police Department led by some incredible leadership. Matt being one of them, but from the assistant chief, captains, lieutenants, all the way down, we have some really great leadership in the SFPD that are helping lead us through this difficult time and many difficult times. So, Chief, congratulations on the award.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
All the way.
Yep, you bet.
I guess I don't know what to say. I actually was prepared to talk about the police response to the COVID event and had a number of statistics to go along with that. But yeah, I did not see this coming at all. So yeah, good job. You totally waylaid me with that. But yeah, this award may have my name on it, but there's many, many faces that wouldn't even fit on this plaque that make possible what we do. There is an office in the corner, in the southwest corner of this building, second floor, that says chief on it, but it's really the people that make up this department, the officers, civilian and sworn employees, management staff that do the work every day. And it is my honor and distinct privilege to serve them to get this job done, and working in conjunction with the mayor's team and every other director, because it is a one Sioux Falls effort, and we all are privileged to do that and work for the citizens. So thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Chief.
It is an honor. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief.
I am interested in your COVID.
He can have the floor.
I'm interested in that, if you want to talk.
Here's the thing, he's such a prepared guy, I kind of I said, don't prepare anything formal, because I knew he'd put all kinds of time and effort and energy into it, because he's just that type of guy. So even though I said that, I'm sure he has some information he can share on how the police forces responded to COVID. So, Chief, go ahead.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's a unique time. I think we're all painfully aware of that by now. But every citizen in this community and every member of the city team can be very proud of the police department and how they've pivoted to this new challenge and just worked the problem. The nature of police service, the nature of public safety business is you're presented with unique challenges at a moment's notice. Now, this is a new one. It's distinctly different. It presents us some things that we haven't had to think about, deal with for a long, long time, but the police team is uniquely qualified to deal with that. So we've got new policies and procedures in place, new protective equipment, new distancing requirements. We're doing some of our report calls in a new way, but they've really rose to the challenge, and I'm very proud of all of them. They're doing so in a call environment that is actually 2% greater than the record we set so far last year. So since we stood up the EOC on or about March 15th, we're about 11% down from calls in pure call volume, but the couple months prior to that, 2.5 months, we're up over last year, so we're still at about 2% above. The kind of calls that you would expect in a confinement type environment, if that's the term, have increased, we see an increase in vandalism calls. We see an increase in some our assault calls, particularly domestic assault, and about 126% increase in our mental health calls over the same time period last year. So there are some unique challenges that our police team, our mental health teams across the city, with all the resources that they can bring to bear, are facing. But I think they're doing a really good job. They're pivoting to what the challenge is, and they're meeting it. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
I mean, it's been a month and a half since the new guidelines that you provided your officers in North London to stay safe. Have they been effective for your officers? Has the police force been able to remain healthy?
Yes, so I'm very, very pleased to tell you that we've had no officers in the SFPD test positive for COVID. I would also tell you that there's many exposure vectors besides what an officer would encounter in the course of their duties. There's community spread. There's exposure through officers' children's at their own daycare. So there's lots of exposures that we have to be prepared for. But the measures we put in place when they're on duty, the social distancing that they are participating in, and they're asked to participate in just like every citizen, are working. So what you see working in the community is also working in our department. Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions today?
Yes, the slight peak or the slight spike in cases over the weekend, what does that data mean to you right now?
The question was, what does that slight peak in data over the weekend mean to right now? Honestly, not a lot. You know, it doesn't take a lot to skew numbers. We had, I think, almost 100 case day on Saturday. Sunday was a bit lower. I'm anticipating potentially a lower day today. We'll see. So We have to continue to look at this as, we've said this before, a marathon, not a sprint. So looking at the data in 3 or 4 day chunks is a little bit hard. We continue to test, though, real aggressively in Sioux Falls. The Smithfield cases in the hotspot has caused us to be testing probably more than any, for sure more than any other place in the state, but we probably are doing some of the most aggressive testing than any place in the country here. So that's also driving some of the volumes. But I talked with my parents who live in Worthington and JBS in Worthington. They now have a couple hundred cases just in Worthington at the plant there. And so that is, even though these are our tests for our county, we're also watching what's happening in hotspots around us, because those will drive our hospitalization numbers as well.
There is some information, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but are any of these cases one person getting it twice? I have heard that that is a possibility.
I can't confirm that, that these are anybody who's gotten COVID twice. And in fact, I think the data and the science on that is still up in the air as to whether someone can get COVID twice. So can't confirm that that's the case with any of these folks. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.